haven't reached to this point. What's the objective of the war now on?
Well, the objectives are exactly as they were on the first day. This war was forced upon Israel after a bloody, brutal, barbaric massacre and invasion by Hamas forces into Israel. The first objective is to verify that this threat of this genocidal organization to the citizens of Israel will be removed. It means that we have to dismantle completely the military capabilities of Hamas and the governmental capabilities of Hamas. We would like to verify that all hostages will be back home, will be freed, and of course to build a reality later on that Hamas will not be part of it.
What's the timeline? How long it will take, to estimate?
It's a tricky question. It will take as long as it takes. We have objectives and we have to meet those objectives. Right from the beginning we said that it's going to be a long war. It means that the need to dismantle Hamas demands time. Hamas built 720 kilometers of underground subterranean bunkers and tunnel system. And in fact, the war is very complicated, urban and military stronghold that you have to deal with. Having said that, I think that we are advancing very fast, for sure, when I compare it to other wars. Let's say the war against ISIS as a reference. The second element is that we might have some slowdown if we reach a deal to release hostages. So it's not a linear line. What is linear is the objectives. We will dismantle completely Hamas.
Is there a possibility for a ceasefire?
I won't use that term. I will use humanitarian pauses or pauses in fighting that will be the outcome of freeing our hostages, and that can bring to a pause for a time. The war against Hamas has to be completed. If Hamas is staying in Gaza, it dooms the Palestinians, it condemned them to be under a repressive regime, genocidal regime, that declares that it will repeat the 7th of October again and again, and therefore to complete instability, to complete inability to create a better future, a safer future, a future that will be able to solve the problems between Israelis and Palestinians. Hamas is not a partner to any kind of dialogue. It's radical, extremist, Islamist, genocidal organization. Therefore, like ISIS, it had to be defeated.
The United States are applying pressure. They have the elections, of course, and they have the pressure of their public opinion. What do you think, how this will evolve?
First, I think that we have full support of the United States. We have special attention of the United States, by the way, fully acceptable by Israel, to see that the war is minimizing the impact on civilians, uninvolved population that is living in Gaza. They would like us to abide by the international law of armed conflict, of wars. And that's exactly what we intend to do. And therefore, we listen very carefully to what United States concerns are and trying to find the best solutions. There is no drawbacks. There is no changes in the American position, governmental position, that Hamas has to be defeated completely.
What would be the status of the Gaza Strip after the war? Who will be in charge? Could it be the Palestinian Authority?
We believe that Gaza should be controlled by Palestinians that are not Hamas or Hamas alike. And we need that those Palestinians will have a totally different state of mind. And a totally different state of mind is that they seek to build their future in Gaza and in Palestinian territories. They do not educate for the destruction and the annihilation of the state of Israel. They do not support terror. And the leadership, Palestinian leadership that will be able to do so will be a partner.
Could you see a possible EU role as a transitionary state?
EU has significant roles. One of them, of course, is already happening, is in the humanitarian assistance to Gaza. The second one will be in the rebuilding of Gaza, if we will be able to meet the objectives of the war and remove Hamas. And thirdly, there is an actual role of Europe, which is extremely important, and which in it Greece is with a leading position, and that's to deal with the Houthi threat that emerged. The Houthi is an Iranian proxy in Yemen that is threatening the freedom of navigation, world trade and chains of supply with immediate impact on many countries, including in Europe, including, by the way, on Greece.
The two-state solution is still on the table. Is still the two-state solution on the table still?
Israel understands two basic things. First, we need to end the conflict with our Palestinian neighbors. Secondly, is that we need to see a future that Israel do not control and do not rule Palestinian people. How to arrange it, we'll do in direct negotiation, because that's a principle that was agreed in the past. We'll sit around negotiating table in the future, and we'll see. And there will be all kinds of possible outcomes for that negotiations, irrespective of the two things that I said before. One thing is clear, that the total or the overall control on the issues of security of the State of Israel will be in the hand of the State of Israel in the foreseeable future. We cannot allow, again, groups like Hamas to emerge in Palestinian territory.
What about the other front with Hezbollah, another Iranian proxy? The elimination of the threat includes Hezbollah, or there could be another kind of settlement there, a military solution or a diplomatic settlement with Hezbollah?
Democracies are not eager to go to war. We are very reluctant in going to war. Having said that, Israel is a country that will defend itself against all possible threats. We are doing it in the south. We are doing it now in the northern border with Lebanon. Hezbollah decided on 7th of October to launch a war against Israel. Attrition war, limited war, but still a war that together with Hamas were able to cause the displacement of 250,000 of Israelis. That's a reality that Israel cannot tolerate. We prefer a diplomatic solution that will push back the Hezbollah based on the UN resolution 1701 that said that Hezbollah forces cannot be southern of the Litani River, that they can be 8 to 10 kilometers out of the Israeli border. If we will not be able to achieve that through peaceful negotiation and through diplomacy, we will use other tools. Israel is fully prepared to use other tools as well. We don't want it, but we are ready to do it.
Speaking about Iranian proxies, how possible is an escalation of war, and that will involve directly Iran? And in that case, would you consider a direct hit to Iran?
You are first absolutely right. Iran is the head of the octopus, and all the proxies, whether they are Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, or militias in Syria or in Iraq, are the tentacles of that octopus. We don't want to go into war, and we don't want to go into overall war. We have concerns and we have issues that need to be taken care of. We need to find a solution to the aggression led by Iran through its proxies. we need to see and not to take our eyes from the ball, which is the nuclear military threat because of the nuclear military ambitions of Iran. It's not an Israeli problem, it's a world problem, as seen through the attacks of the Houthis. And I think that we can create a better and stable and more stable situation in the Middle East that will push back the Iranian aggression all over the Middle East.
Israel is outraged with the Secretary General of the UN. At the same time, it's revealed that Hamas had some type of connection with the UN RWA. Is there a linkage between the two?
UNRWA is a branch of the UN. We are disappointed. We are disappointed from the lack of moral compass sometimes that is being expressed by leadership of the UN and the Secretary General. The problem is not Israel. The problem is the aggression of Hamas. The problem is the massacre and the attacks of Hamas and radical forces. And therefore the pressure should be mounted on them to release all hostages immediately, unconditionally, to lay down their weapons. Not a single Palestinian would have been armed if Hamas wouldn't invade the state of Israel. UNRWA is a huge problem. It's not part of the solution, it is part of the problem. UNRWA was established in 1949. UNRWA is perpetuating the issue of Palestinian refugees and causing them first to rise in numbers, and secondly because they define descendants of displaced people, Palestinian displaced in 1948, as refugees forever, and they educate them and support their narrative that their future is not in Palestinian territories, but on the ruins of the state of Israel. Basically, what UNRWA is doing is supporting the narrative of between the river to the sea, which is also the narrative of Hamas, with the addition of radical Islamism. So that's one part of the problem. More than that, people of UNRWA, staff on UNRWA, were part of the massacre of October 7 in Israel. And many of them collaborated and assisted the Hamas through the years, including the recent period. Therefore, we believe that humanitarian aid should be delivered to Palestinians. We believe that needed Palestinians should be supported, not through UNRWA, through governmental mechanism, whether it's in other countries, and through other international aid organizations that are not UNRWA in the future of Gaza.
Are you surprised by the rhetoric and the stance of Turkey? Did you expect it to that extent?
I will start with one declaration. Turkey is an important country in the Middle East or in the Mediterranean, in our region. It's a power. We would like to build with Turkey, I think, like Greeks do, better relation, reducing friction, and we always hope that Turkey will play a constructive role and not a destructive role. They are on the wrong side of history in supporting Hamas. Hamas is a terror group that established a state and an army. It's not a legitimate representative of the Palestinian people, nor of Islam. And therefore supporting them is totally wrong. We foresee only one future for Hamas: dismantling Hamas, hunting down its leadership, whether today or tomorrow or in the future, and bring them, hold them accountable and bring them to justice.
How's the relation with Greece affected by the crisis? Is it enhanced? It is reassured? It's strengthened?
We have built strategic partnership with Greece, and in times like this, it's being tested and being reassured. We have strong relation, stable relations, strong contacts on all fields, and that continue through the war. We are aware of the legitimate interest of Greece in the region, not only with Israel, but in the entire Mediterranean. We exchange views on everything. We listen to the concerns that are coming also from Greece, but not only from Greece, about humanitarian aid. In fact, we asked also Greece to be part of the humanitarian assistance to the Palestinians, which they operated among the first in handing assistance, in being ready to be part of the future corridors that will supply also Palestinians. I think that the relations are very strong and still growing.
There's a specific reference in the strategic dialogue between Greece and the US for the 3+1 that it should be enhanced. Do you see this Israel, Greece, Cyprus, and the US as a basic component of the stability of the region?
Yes, I'm
After the war.
The answer is a big yes. We see the future of the relations growing. We see the common interest, and by the way, it's not only Greek, Cypriot, Israeli interest. It's regional, or even if you want, geopolitical interest, because we are part of corridors. And if you recall, on the G20, the countries were speaking then about IMEC, which is India, Middle East, Europe corridors. And that's something that we believe in, and therefore we all have part in it. And I think that that's something that we will try to strengthen. And it goes to corridors of energy, it goes to corridor of data cables, it goes to trade and commerce, and many other aspects of these corridors that, in fact, connecting the Far East deep into Europe through the collaboration that our three countries has already established, and that is based on values, on interest, and on common geopolitical understanding.
What about the Abraham Accord? Are they still alive? Will you revive after the war? It's part of what you were describing.
Abraham Accords are very much alive. They are tested in a very rough period. And not that only that they are holding, and that those relations are crucial also in the dealing with the crisis and also aiming for a better future. So the Abraham Accords are there, and the same trend that was just before the war going on is still very much on the table, expanding and extending relations with other countries in the region, and cementing I will say, a kind of alliance of stability that can build for all the inhabitants in this region better future, and also a better defense against the hegemonic aggressive ambitions of Iran.
Thanks, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.